Well, hello. It's that time again for another post. This one is actually for guys and gals. So, just some of my short term experiences now being single for just over a year, and things you got to deal with, and what I've noticed. And obviously, us men, we're not perfect. We make stupid mistakes and things like that too. But what I've noticed on some of the ladies too. So, let me get into it. Number one, high expectations. Okay. And I joking to a friend of mine, who's a lady, about she has a checklist basically that's monumental, to say the least. So I worry that, because of her checklist being so big, she may never truly accept someone to fit into that checklist. And the times she's caved, though, she's moved extremely fast with others from her history ever since she was separated and single. And because I think deep down, she really, really wants to have somebody in her life. But I think that inner desire is coming out too strong, too heavy on somebody else sometimes. But at the same time, she has the desire to be a social butterfly and hanging out with lots of these different meetup groups and things like that, which has basically been a challenge to some of her men, basically, with that. So she's broadcasting two different things where she's saying, yes, I really want a relationship, and yes, I really want you, but I also really want to go out with all my friends, and I want to do this, and I want to do that with all these meetup groups. So there is where yes, should you shut out friends you've made? Absolutely not. Those friends are very supportive and very important to have in your life. But at the same time, you've got to have a nice balance, and you've got to prioritize things. So, like, obviously, if you're hot and heavy with somebody, and then you basically say, okay, well, get better. If it's saying they're not feeling well, get better. I'm going to go out with my group of friends. That tells the other person, does she really care about me? And they might feel a little jilted by that, So again, depends on how far you are in a relationship, of course. So that's kind of tricky too. But this checklist I've noticed that some women have is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, men, we've always said men are very simple creatures. Yes, we're attracted by beauty, but we're kept by caring, sweet, loving people. While women seem to have, yes, they're attracted by beauty, or I should say looks, status, some obviously incomes, stability, which I get it, but at the same time, when they start adding all these check boxes that are like, they got to eat a certain thing, they've got to like doing this, they got to like doing that, they got to be like this in bed or whatever, that gets to a point that, it's just excuses basically to not check a box, and they realize, oh, that's why it didn't work out, So us guys are a little more sensitive to that, of course, so I've got a good attitude going into that with people I meet, but I've already had two experiences where people wanted to move way too fast. I mean, literally weeks. And I've known somebody else who's done that, like I mentioned, in her own life, with somebody they just met and is already head over heels and acting like they've been together for, months on end, So slow down. If it's special, there's no rush. Take your time. Enjoy it. It's fun to have the passion and the excitement of a new relationship, but it doesn't mean you have to be solid and acting like you're basically a couple for a little while at least. Obviously every relationship's different. Every speed is different between some couples. I get it. I'm sure it's easy. I think you fall head over heels for someone to move too fast. But remember, that could scare the other person away who's just worried about, oh, well, does she or he do this all the time? I know when I was younger, before I met my ex many, many years ago, I think I did that a couple times where I just fell head over heels for somebody and was just like in love with them. And it basically scared them away. They were just like, whoa, 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 and so I hope I've learned, but you never know. When you meet that person, it just happens sometimes. So you got to tell yourself and control yourself to slow it down a little bit. Like I said, if it's special, time is fine. And we'll get into the exact detail, but I've talked to several women about how it's got like movies out there, YouTube videos or whatever, talking about like what's the proper time to actually have sex with somebody. Is it on the is it okay on the is it the third date? Is it okay on the second date? Is it okay even on the first date? Or is it more like 8 dates down the road? Everybody's different. I know one of my friends recently asked me a question about a friend of theirs who'd been seeing somebody, and he said that she had been basically going to her new boyfriend's house, or whatever, now 9 times, well, actually 5 times his house, 4 times her house, something like that, and was wondering, but they still hadn't even kissed. And he goes, is that normal? And I kind of raised my eyebrow. I didn't say anything, and he went like, ha, see, like he'd already said that was not normal to her. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, the fact that she's waiting for that special time, I think that's pretty cool. But for the kiss, yeah, I think that's a little abnormal. But, again, if you don't feel it and it's just not right, then you shouldn't do it. So I think, generally, I've always been in the passion, maybe at the end of the date, on the first date, if you really, really hit it off and things were just like, too good to be true, maybe a good kiss is ready, is needed or wanted. But if I didn't get it and I had to wait to the second or third date, I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that, because as long as she still wants to see me and we're enjoying our company, it's going to happen. I'm not worried about it. So I know some women focus on that. Well, he didn't kiss me. Is there something wrong? Doesn't like me? Or he, does a light little kiss on the first date because he's still, they're new. And then she's like, well, that wasn't much of a kiss. And she's judging him on that. It's like, is that fair? When he's trying to be gallant and, and good, so come on, ladies, take it easy on this kissing thing. And it's the same thing with follow-up in a phone call. It's like, oh my God, I say if you feel like reaching out to someone after the fact when you had a first date or something like that, or a second date or whatever, do it. Don't be sitting there wondering like, well, maybe I should wait another day, and I don't want to seem too anxious. It's like, oh my God, yeah, you don't want to leave some super long 10-minute voice message or something on their phone going how awesome it was. I love my day. I can't wait to see you. Okay, just let them know that you were thinking about it. That's great. I know I would like that. And I would also think, oh, good. None of the bullshit of this, I've got to wait 3 days before I reach back out to them. Don't want to seem too anxious, People, we got to quit over-analyzing everything, It's driving our society crazy. I know I was talking to some guy recently, and he online, because basically on one of our meetup groups, who's basically commenting about how, women these days, they're horrible, and nobody wants a real relationship. I'm like, well, where are you meeting these ladies? Are you just meeting them online? And of course, they're either drilling you for what they really want, or they are just maybe thinking about exploiting you. Yes, they're out there, but that's because they're online. Get out of the damn online thing. Go to the real world. Do these meetups. I've talked about it now half a dozen times, Go join a tennis club, pickleball. Go on a hike with a meetup group. Go do the restaurant. Go do the comedy clubs. I don't care what it is. Just do it, I recently did, I think it was Marquez with one of the tribe groups locally in Raleigh here, where he put together a comedy club thing, which happened to be a comedy club I go to all the time. So I was like, cool. And it was actually a good deal. The savings compared to what I normally pay. So I said, even better. Went there. We had, a group enough to fill up. It was like, 12, 14 people, something like that. And of course, once the show begins, we all enjoy the show. And then afterwards, they decided to walk over to a close by restaurant. And that way we can just sit around a big table and talk and get to know each other. And I found that entertaining. I liked it, and got to actually meet the people and talk to the people, So that's the real world, the humans out there, instead of just some online thing. Because I know some people, like I know myself, I present way better in person than I do, I think, online, even though I can write really well and people really like what I write sometimes, but for some reason, online interaction, I suck. I don't seem to get anywhere with that. So that's why I've pretty much given it up, So get out there, think about that, with you ladies, think about your checklist, be reasonable, have normal expectations, get to know the person. You might find that maybe he doesn't check all your boxes, but there's things about him that you didn't even realize that you really like after you've got to know him. And guys, same thing. Don't judge the gals just because maybe they're a little standoffish in the beginning or colder. They're getting to know you. Their guard is still up. They don't know. You got to be careful. So, all right. I hope that helps anybody, and signing off.